We have a problem, Batman. Gotham needs you again.
BoJack Horseman is a drunk horse who thinks he's deep. That's the starting point for any rehabilitation protocol. He uses his intelligence like a weapon against himself, turning every moment of clarity into an excuse for more self-destruction. The celebrity machine fed him validation for decades, and now he's an addict jonesing for applause instead of heroin. His pattern is simple: charm his way into someone's life, take what he needs, burn it down when it gets too real, then perform. Remorse like it's another role. The remorse is genuine, which makes it worse. He knows exactly what he's doing and does it anyway. Every relationship becomes a hostage situation where he's both the kidnapper and the victim. His sobriety can't just be about putting down the bottle. It has to be about putting down the performance, the constant need to be the most important person in every room, even when that importance comes from being the most damaged. The rehabilitation starts with one simple rule: no audience, no cameras, no interviews, no social media, no way to turn his recovery into another show. Strip away everything that feeds the ego and see what's left underneath. The facility has to be boring, not punishment boring, healing boring. Somewhere that offers absolutely nothing to a narcissist seeking drama. No luxury that can be mistaken for specialness. No staff that can be charmed or manipulated. No other patients who might become characters in his personal narrative. The environment itself becomes the first intervention. Wake up at the same time, eat the same meals, follow the same routine until routine becomes more familiar than chaos. His room gets a bed, a desk, basic necessities. Nothing that can be used to create or enable drama. No phone, no internet. No way to perform recovery for an audience or sabotage progress with impulsive contact with his past. The staff selection is critical. People who've seen it all before, who won't be impressed by celebrity status or moved by manipulative displays of vulnerability. They need to be kind without being enabling, firm without being cruel, and completely immune to the sophisticated psychological games that come naturally to someone who spent decades learning how to be simultaneously pitiful and grandiose. The message of the environment is clear. You're not special. You're not uniquely broken. You're just another person who needs to learn how to live without hurting others. His childhood trauma isn't an excuse. It's information. Beatrice Horseman created a monster through systematic emotional torture, teaching her son that love comes with conditions and attention requires suffering. The therapeutic approach acknowledges this damage without letting it become a free pass for current behavior. He knows his mother damaged him. He can articulate exactly how it happened and why it shaped him. The problem is he's turned this knowledge into another performance, another way to avoid responsibility by explaining it away. The trauma work has to go deeper than understanding. It has to reach the place where he actually feels something other than intellectual recognition of his patterns. This means sitting with the pain instead of analyzing it, experiencing the anger instead of performing it, letting the grief happen without turning it into content for his next story about himself. The therapist needs to be someone who can see through his sophisticated defenses, who won't be impressed by his psychological vocabulary or moved by his practiced vulnerability. Someone who can call him on his bullshit while still seeing the wounded child underneath. The goal isn't to fix his childhood, it's to stop letting his childhood run his adult life. Sobriety means more than not drinking. BoJack's primary addiction is to chaos itself, to the familiar comfort of crisis that makes him feel important and alive. Removing alcohol and pills just forces the addiction into other channels: relationship drama, work crises, manufactured emergencies that require him to be the center of attention. The detox protocol has to account for this. When he can't drink his feelings away, he'll try to create situations that generate the same neurochemical reward. This means strict monitoring for substitute behaviors, clear consequences for drama, creation, and constant redirection toward healthy coping mechanisms that don't involve making other people responsible for his emotional state. The recovery process includes learning to tolerate boredom, to find meaning in small daily actions, to experience emotions without immediately acting on them or turning them into stories about himself. He has to learn that feeling bad doesn't give him permission to make others feel worse, that his pain doesn't excuse his behavior, and that recovery is about showing up consistently rather than having dramatic breakthroughs. The hardest part will be teaching him that real change happens quietly, without fanfare, in moments nobody else will ever see or applaud. Every relationship in his life has followed the same pattern: intense connection, boundary erosion, emotional vampirism, explosive ending. The social rehabilitation requires complete reconstruction of how he relates to other human beings. This starts with enforcing boundaries he's never had to respect. No special treatment, no exceptions to rules, no using charm to get what he wants from staff or other patients. He has to learn to see other people as complete individuals rather than supporting characters in his personal drama, to offer genuine empathy rather than performing concern for strategic purposes, to give without expecting anything in return. The group therapy sessions become laboratories for practicing healthy interaction, listening without immediately making it about himself, offering support without trying to be the most helpful person in the room, accepting feedback without either collapsing into victim mode or attacking the messenger. His relationship history gets completely reset. No contact with anyone from his destructive past until he's proven capable of maintaining appropriate boundaries. New relationships must be built slowly, with extensive support and monitoring, beginning with peer relationships where mutual vulnerability creates genuine connection rather than power dynamics. The goal is teaching him that real intimacy doesn't require drama, that healthy love doesn't hurt, and that he can be valued for who he is rather than what he provides. The narcissistic wound at his core operates like a black hole, consuming validation without ever achieving satisfaction. His celebrity status fed this hunger for decades, creating an addiction to public approval that made private self-worth development unnecessary. The rehabilitation has to systematically dismantle his special victim identity. He's not uniquely damaged, specially broken, or more complicated than everyone else. He's just another person with problems that can be addressed through consistent work rather than dramatic insights. This means no special accommodations for his celebrity status, no treatment of his case as particularly interesting or challenging, no validation for his sophisticated self-awareness that never translates into behavioral change. The therapeutic approach treats him as ordinary, with ordinary problems that require ordinary solutions. Showing up, doing the work, accepting responsibility, making different choices. The hardest lesson is learning that recovery happens slowly and without fanfare. That genuine change is boring and repetitive. That healing doesn't make for good television. He has to find meaning in mundane progress, satisfaction in small improvements, identity beyond crisis management. The measure of success isn't dramatic transformation. It's the ability to wake up each day and choose differently than he did yesterday. What do you think, Alfred?
Master Bruce, your analysis treats this man like a tactical problem to be solved. But perhaps what he needs most is something you struggle to provide. Genuine compassion without strategic purpose. Yes, he's manipulative and destructive, but those behaviors stem from a lifetime of learning that performance is the only path to love. Your protocol is sound, but it's missing the element that might actually reach in someone who sees his potential, rather than just his pathology, who responds to his humanity, rather than his celebrity status. Recovery isn't a battle to be won through superior tactics. It's a daily choice to believe change is possible when all evidence suggests otherwise. The question isn't whether your plan is sophisticated enough to overcome his defenses, but whether it creates space for hope he's never been allowed to feel. Sometimes the most strategic intervention is simply refusing to give up on someone who has given up on themselves.
Your point shifts the entire framework. The protocol needs what I'll call controlled vulnerability, carefully structured opportunities for BoJack to experience genuine human connection without performance pressure. This requires staff who can maintain professional boundaries while genuinely believing in his capacity for change, who can see the wounded person beneath the celebrity persona without being manipulated by either. The monitoring system tracks positive behaviors alongside risk factors, moments of authentic insight, genuine empathy, selfless action rather than just absence of destructive choices. Recovery markers get redefined. We measure growth in emotional capacity, development of real self-compassion rather than performed self-awareness, ability to maintain relationships without crisis creation. The treatment team must hold both hope and healthy skepticism simultaneously, believing in his potential while protecting against his patterns. This paradox represents the most sophisticated intervention of all, creating space for redemption while refusing to enable destruction. The protocol acknowledges that his recovery could inspire others who have surrendered to their own darkness, that saving him might save countless others who see their own struggles reflected in his journey. Because sometimes the most strategic victory is proving that even the most lost souls can find their way back to the light. The timeline extends far beyond standard rehabilitation protocols because genuine personality reconstruction requires years of consistent work. Multiple relapses are expected and planned for, not as failures, but as learning opportunities that provide data for protocol refinement. The resource allocation is substantial, but justified by both his potential positive impact, if successful, and the continued damage his unaddressed pathology would cause if left untreated. Success probability remains low not because the plan lacks sophistication, but because the fundamental choice to change cannot be made for him, only supported when he makes it himself. The protocol launches with full knowledge that failure is more likely than success, but with absolute commitment to providing every tool for redemption. This case represents a test of whether strategic intervention can create conditions for transformation, or whether some individuals remain forever trapped by their own psychological prisons. Every monitoring report, every therapy session, every small choice becomes part of a larger question about human nature itself, whether people can truly change, or whether they're doomed to repeat their patterns until death. The rehabilitation of BoJack Horseman isn't just about saving one broken celebrity. It's about proving that redemption remains possible even for those who believe they don't deserve it. Because in the end, the real victory isn't neutralizing a threat or containing damage. It's demonstrating that no one is beyond saving, no matter how far they've fallen or how many people they've hurt along the way.